So we watched 2 episodes of Star Trek this week. We watched Errand of Mercy from towards the end of the first season of TOS. What's the other one called? Once More Into the Breach from the final season of Deep Space Nine. Hey! So where are we?
What the fuck is that? Oh, Skibbo, sorry.
Steve was like, who's she?
Yeah. Yo, carry on, guys.
We're intro in. I'll start from the beginning. We watched 2 episodes of Star Trek this week. We watched Errand of Mercy from towards the end of the first season of TOS, and we also watched Once More Into the Breach from the final season of Deep Space Nine. These episodes bookend the story of Kor, played by John Colicos, who's the Klingon who appeared in Errand of Mercy and then ended his life, which is a bit of a spoiler, but it's really obvious in the episode that that's how it was going to end in that episode of Deep Space Nine that I mentioned a minute ago that I can't remember again. Once More Into the Breach. So Errand of Mercy, quick summary. Organia, I can never say it right.
Organia,
is about to be occupied by Klingon forces. Kirk tries to persuade the Organians to either flee or fight.
Fight back.
And they refuse to do either. And then the Klingon commander Kor arrives, and he's also disgusted.
Disgust me.
He wants a bit of a skirmish at least. Kirk and Kor, they are enemies, but the Organians predict that the Klingons and the Federation in the future will one day work together. Next, the other episode we watched was Once More Into the Breach. The Klingons and the Federation are indeed working together. Kor arrives on Deep Space Nine longing to recapture his glory days as a famous warrior leader, but his brain's failing him, is getting old, so can Worf secure him a high-profile position in the Klingon fleet? And there we go, that's both of those episodes that we watched. I was going to say who wants to go first on this, but really it's got to be Gibbo.
Like you say, it was the beginning of the first ever Klingon episode in Star Trek. It's the first time we ever see them. And with the new remake version of it, you get to see the Klingon battle cruiser. And I think that was really quite a good bit of a war battle scene at the beginning with the new CGI. And like I say, and it was going to be the end of Kor as well. So it was, like to say, it was only in one ever episode of the original series, but everyone recognised him as the actor when he came on stage, when he did the cons and stuff, because that documentary that Patches put on, whenever as soon as he walked in, he didn't realise that people would be going, yeah, because he was only ever in one. But that episode for me, I reckon the actor himself, because he'd already been acting 17 years, he started acting in 1950, and that episode aired in 1967, so he was a well-conditioned actor. And I thought his acting in that episode was far superior to anybody else in that episode. To say the main characters, his facial features, the way he spoke, you could tell he was a theatre actor.
Yeah,
and his presence, you could feel what he meant. When he was angry, you could see he was angry, and he had the eyes and everything, the stare.
Do you think because he was the first big Klingon, it's the first Klingon episode? Do you think he kind of set the expectation that, because Klingons aren't just this drunk warrior race, they've got this quite Shakespearean delivery, and they do kind of command the screen, and that starts with Kor. So do you think that had an influence on the way the Klingons were portrayed from that point onwards?
Yeah, I reckon it was one of the main reasons why they did him the way he did. Even he said that in that interview, that they asked him what a Klingon is, and he went, I don't know. And he was like, well, then he decided it's going to be like a dictator and the evil side, and he's going to kill people, and they didn't give a monkeys in a warrior race like Vikings, space Vikings. But in the episode myself, did the explosion when they set fire to those purple boxes?
Yeah.
Look really, really tacky when he was like, these are armaments. I'm like, why are they in polystyrene and cardboard boxes? That looks a bit cheesy and crap. But then they were against the wall, and when they blow it up, they must have used a scene from another episode, because when you blow it up, you see it's like in the middle of the countryside with rocks.
Yeah.
1 minute there's a wall, and the next minute it's like in the middle of nowhere. I was thinking, they must have used that scene to save a bit of money. Kirk, for me in this one, it looked like he was the troublemaker, and I was thinking he was being more anti-Federation, because you're not supposed to force people to do something, and he was really forcefully wanting them to go against the Klingons, even if it did mean them losing thousands of people, hundreds of people. And I was thinking, well, you're really steering the pot, mate. You should just off. They don't want you. Leave. And they're quite happy going away, but the Federation aren't allowed to interfere with another civilization, and he was proper getting it some. And I think you can see it in Spock's faces, like, yeah, I mean, they're right, but what you white people seem to want a bit of a battle. When they was going in to invade and take Kor's office, and he gets the guy with the rope around his neck and he's going to kill him, strangle him. He says, "Where's Kor's? Is Kor's office down there?"
It's Kor's office down there.
Yes.
I thought, well, earlier in the episode you was there because he offered you a drink in his office.
You'll have a drink with me, Captain.
Oh, thank you.
You already know where his office is, so why are you asking where his office is? That doesn't make any sense. Someone needs to read the script better. Kirk was coming off more wanting the war than the Klingons. You know, the Klingons were a battle race. They like fighting, they like killing. But Kirk, in his eyes, was like, no, you have no right to stop me fighting. We should have the right. I'm like, wait. It was like you really, really want to keep this war going with the Klingons here, and the Klingons are going, "We'll fight anyway." But it was more determined that he wanted to fight more than could.
He actually said something as well, Kirk, which I thought was not quite right, because he said, and I've made a note here, "I'm a soldier, not a diplomat."
I'm a soldier, not a diplomat.
And I thought, no. If anything, you're more a diplomat than a soldier. And we've seen it in other episodes of Star Trek as well, where Kirk is a master diplomat, whether he's talking to a supercomputer or, some other race. And I completely agree. There was something strange about this episode, the way that Kirk was constantly pushing for war, really, really pushing for it. And I was like, well, it felt wrong, because he was almost like bullying them into it and goading them into something that they didn't want to do, and it just felt very anti-Federation. So I'm glad you said that, because I thought the same.
Kirk, you're supposed to be a peaceful. You are an explorer. Yeah, you seem to be more warmongering than anybody else on set. You really want to get these people involved in a war that they do not want.
But you don't have to be sheep; you can be wolves.
But then,
As long
just
as you see blood.
to throw a spanner in the works and to refer to the Kelvin timeline, which I know a lot of people don't like, when the one with Idris Elba, Beyond, I think it was, he actually said they used to be soldiers, and then once the war was over, they gave them all ships and they were then suddenly explorers. I suppose at that time he's still transitioning from a military footing to an exploration, and there's this clearly unfinished business with the Klingons. They have an intense hatred towards them. For the Klingons, a battle is a battle is a battle. They don't give a shit who they fight. This, in some respects, it's nothing personal. They're Klingons. They enjoy the battle.
How I took it was Klingons always revere Kirk as being a warrior, and you never really kind of understood that, because he is, as you say, more of a diplomat in the series, in the films. But this was the one episode where you kind of gave Kirk his due as to why the Klingons find him a formidable opponent. Dog. So yes, I kind of took it as that. It was kind of it brought Kirk kind of back into the fold of the war, and it did give us that glimpse as to why the Klingons revered him.
Oh, Captain T. Kirk said Enterprise. I wanted to fight him in battle in space, didn't he? He didn't want to fight him on land.
What do you think to Kirk and Kor's relationship in this then, Gibbo? Because when Kirk obviously wanted them to fight, and then Kor wanted them to fight, it felt like Kor and Kirk, if the circumstances were a bit different, that they would have been really good mates. Kor wants to fight Kirk, but he doesn't hate him. He really respects him, and it almost feels like there's a bit of a, not bromance, but it feels as though they do kind of bond in this episode. It's quite good to watch,
I reckon because they have equal respects, don't they, for warriors fighting. Never trust a man. It smiles, and they're all smiling.
The stupid, idiotic smile everyone else seems to be wearing.
He wants to be challenged all the time as a warrior. And I think he saw that in Kirk, that equal warriors. Like I say, and probably in the future, Kor might have sat down and got hammered with him on blood wine in a bar somewhere and had a chat. Because I know there's lots of books with Kor and Kirk in there, but I enjoy that episode. I think I've watched that 3 times now this year alone. So I did a massive.
I thought you were going to say ever. I'm like, well, that's not that many.
I watched a massive. I watched all Kor's ones because I reckon he played a classic Klingon. Like I say, he was the first one on the screen.
I think Kor was actually the second Klingon on screen, because another Klingon walks in just immediately before him.
Actually, we're both wrong. There's a scene earlier where a load of Klingons walk on screen.
I noticed that at one point there was one Klingon sat down at the bar drinking, and about 2 minutes later, when they walked towards the stairs, he came down the stairs. I'm like, you was just over there a second ago, sat down drinking. So they must have only had about 10 Klingons on site, and they just kept placing them around, walking around in circles in front of them.
And it was only Core that had decent makeup. All the others, they had like a line there where this like gold face paint on, and it was really obvious when you can see him moving and they turn the face because they just got this line here and they got this like gold face. Everything else is just like normal flesh colour.
But also, no beards, man. It's a sin not to have a beard as a Klingon. It's a sign of weakness, scum. We don't even acknowledge them anymore. It's a long story. About it. It was, I said, that was first created by James Doonan in 1979 for the motion picture, but he only invented so many words for that one scene. And then later on, Mark Okran, a linguist in America, was hired by Roddenberry to make the full Klingon language because he wanted to bring them more into the episodes.
Yeah.
So he wanted the full language, so they hired him to do that. I read also he also later created a Romulan and Vulcan dialect for 2009 Star Trek, but they were cut from the final release.
All right.
So you would never heard them speaking in their own languages.
I like this episode, Errand of Mercy, but Kirk comes off as a complete and utter arsehole in this one. Toz never, in my eyes, had any world build, really. It was the movies that built the Federation world, because Toz, they bantered between explorers and soldiers all the time. Military and explorers. It was just... But yeah, the orangutans, or whatever the fuck called, Organians, they're a bit like Q, weren't they? How they was able to basically, look, none of your people anywhere can fight. Not just, anywhere. Your home planets, you can't touch weapons. We're on your home planets. We're in your ships. We're everywhere. And we're basically stopping you from fighting.
All instruments of violence on this planet now radiate a temperature of 350 degrees. They are inoperative.
They were brilliant, though. Because we said, like, they wouldn't fight and they're seen as quite weak. But it turns out that they're not weak at all. They're actually really super powerful. And one thing I really like about this episode is how Core says he's disgusted by the Organians because they won't fight. And then right at the end, the Organians turn it round. Core and Kirk see the Organians as like a lesser life form. You know what I mean? As a bit weak and a bit backwards. Yeah, a bit primitive. That's the word I'm looking for. Whereas at the end, the Organians that Organian fella looks down his nose at them two, and he says he's disgusted at them. And because this episode to me doesn't really feel like a classic until the end. And then at the end, when the Organian turns it round, I thought, it kind of made the episode. That and Core, because the character of Core, every time he's on screen, you can't help but stare at him. I mean, he does look a bit like Alan Sugar, I think, at some points, but he is brilliant. The actor is absolutely superb. And I am convinced that his performance alone increased the value of the Klingons, within the franchise. I know we'd not really seen him before. Well, we hadn't seen him before, but he was just brilliant, Kolokos. He was just absolutely superb as Core. Just magnetic on screen. His delivery was amazing.
Get over your drink. We can toast the victory of the Klingon fleet.
Anyway, sorry, go on, Jed.
No, yeah, I quite agree. His acting was phenomenal in this. He was the best one in it all, to tell you the truth. I like Toss. Makes me laugh because some of the shit that they come out with.
What do you mean? I mean, you're in Belgium. It's when Spock informs him and says, they're a very primitive culture. He goes, like Armenia or Belgium.
Living on a primitive level, little of intrinsic value.
Another Armenia, Belgium.
Oh my God, you didn't just say that.
Do you know what? I can't remember that line. Did you say that in this episode? I can't believe I missed that. I must have I must have been making a note when he said that. That is brilliant.
When they beam down, there's no one there.
Yeah.
The next minute, everyone just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No, that didn't give them any alarm bells. The fact that they hadn't moved on in over 1,000 years, it still looked like, a feudal kind of society, castles and shit like that.
And they had electric doors.
Do you know, I forgot about the Armenian and Belgian part. When that pops up, I thought, Jesus. But that's all I can really say about this.
Yeah.
It's just a Toz episode. But like I said, there's no world building in it, because 1 minute they're explorers, next minute Kirk's saying, I'm a military man. And in this one, Kirk just basically comes across as an absolute warmongering arsehole.
No, I agree. This isn't a good episode for Kirk, and
No.
I can understand why they're doing it, because maybe they wanted him and Core to be almost like pseudo allies, opposite side, but both kind of with the same sort of objective from opposite angles.
Two wrongs don't make a right kind of thing.
It was in the Cold War between Russia and America. They wanted that feeling to go like the Klingons were the Russians and the Federation's Americans, and they were at each other's throats. That's what he said. That's the part that they were trying to bring round.
Yeah,
is they were good guys and they had to have good guys and they had to have bad guys, and it was Roddenberry didn't want that, but the TV company wanted it.
In this one, even the Federation come across as bad guys.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
because they're pushing for war.
Yeah,
that's because American.
Yeah, they're seriously pushing for it.
But
basically, you got the Klingons who were going to kill 200 people, but they didn't, and you got the Federation trying to push people who are pacifists into fighting and basically saying they're ashamed of them. Yeah. Kirk actually says he's ashamed of them at one point.
Yeah. It is awful. It is the way that the Organians are treated, even though they are, because like I say, they are seen as this primitive life form, and they're not, and the truth is that Kirk and Core are basically making ignorant statements about them, that they don't have all the information. They're just making these really prejudiced comments about them being backwards, and they're ashamed of them and they're disgusted, which are really strong words to say about a race of people. One thing you mentioned a second ago, Jed, was about the Klingons and like Russians and things like that. And I have read about this episode in particular, the note because this is the first time we see the Klingons, they wanted them to look Oriental. And I think Patches has mentioned this in the past. I think it harks back to the Vietnam War, and I think they wanted some sort of allegory with the Vietnam War with this episode. But the Klingons are meant to have that kind of like stereotypical, like Ming the Merciless, a bit.
It is
a bit Oriental,
Eastern.
Yes,
it's
Eastern,
a bit of Japanese. We've had the war in the East. We've had the Japanese campaign. We've had the Pacific Islands campaign. We've had the Korean War. We've got this situation with Vietnam. That is, to all intents and purposes, to the average clean-cut, crew-cut wearing Forrest Gump American in the late 60s, they are the enemy. And when they see that Oriental look, and I mean, the blackface that they use for the Klingons, like there are no black guys playing Klingons because we're not quite there yet with, putting black guys on screen wholesale. So it's white guys in black face. White guys in white face, that's not hostile. But dark faces, anything foreign, is so xenophobic. Everything about the Klingons is complete xenophobia.
Well, a year before this came out, You Only Live Twice came out, and that's the one where Sean Connery is made to look Japanese, and it is that kind of that Klingon. You can see this is the Hollywood view of what a stereotypical, like pan Asian people look like, and it's awful. It's really awful, but and it is the same because you got basically Sean Connery dressed as effectively a Klingon.
Yeah,
you got like Bruce Lee wrote Kung Fu. He wrote that part for himself, so they basically gave it to David Carradine, a white man.
George Takei, because he's got that thing anyway. He's talking about his life in America and. Way after during the Second World War, him and his family, I think, like they were separated and just absolutely treated like shit by the state.
They were interned. They were imprisoned without trial as enemies of the state, and they were put in internment camps.
There's a series, the series The Terror. They did an episode, Terror 2. George Takei is in that, and it shows you where we got placed in horse stables in the thousands. They got all arrested, all because they were Japanese Americans, but you might be a traitor, you might be a spy. So every Japanese person in America got put in prison, based in a prison camp. It was harsh.
We used to do that here. We used to do that with Irish people here in this country.
I'm Italian.
I'm talking about the 70s.
Oh, right.
We could inter people from Northern Ireland. If someone from Belfast turned up on mainland Britain, they could be interned. They could be banged up without trial for an indefinite period of time. It's all over the world. This goes on all over the world. I think that the script writers, I mean, this had a brilliant script. I think that the set was crap. I don't know. I'm sorry. I've dropped on a bit late.
Are you going to talk about multicolored boxes exploding? Is that what you're going to mention?
No, I'm going to talk about a mixture between a Western, so something set in like a hacienda type thing, populated by people who clearly are wearing costumes left over from a Robin Hood thing.
I think some of this was filmed in Haiti. Some of this episode, it was filmed on location in Haiti because I wanted to get
Haiti?
I'm sure, yeah. I might have that wrong. I'll fact check, and if I've got it wrong, I'll slap myself around the face now.
I was wrong. It wasn't filmed in Haiti. There was some stock footage showing a location from Haiti. So,
do you think when they decided to do this episode, they were in the studio next door, which had the Enterprise bridge, and they went, "Oh, do you know what? Let's just go next door and film something." And just walk through it. It happened to be some sort of Western type feel. Where they're like, "Oh yeah, it's all right. We'll film it here. Grab those costumes off the floor. Come on, get on with it, lads."
Like in,
I think it was
like in TNG when they're like, we've got a shit ton of Robin Hood stuff here in the set. Should we use this?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those castle episodes. We're going to have to do it in a castle.
Castle episode.
Well, it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah.
There's themes that run through all of Star Trek. We're trapped in a turbo lift or something like that, or we're trapped in a shuttle pod, or there's a couple of people trapped in a lift. That comes up there's one in DS9, the TNG, that there's a shuttle pod. So there's the two people trapped in a pod. There's the castle episode, which always bombs, and it's always this. And this one went all the way with Spock in tights with a cape.
On my notes, I put, why have they dressed Spock and Kirk like Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
Kirk hasn't really got nice legs, has he? I noticed he's got right knobbly knees.
I don't know, man. Leonard Nimoy's legs ain't. I would have flat out refused to wear this junk if I was them. I mean, it's got a Shakespearean feel to it. If Hamlet can wear tights, then surely, and that's probably how they said, "What's this with the tights?" Look, Hamlet wore tights. Is that stupid? Well, no. Well, just get on with it, lads. And I just thought that the production was weird, and it's clearly a pre-warp civilization. So have we not got the Prime Directive yet? I mean, Spock even says they've just about made it past the wheel here, Gov. They've made no progress for thousands of years. Is it okay to violate the Prime Directive if the planet holds strategic value during wartime? That's not a Prime Directive then, is it?
The Prime Directive, I think, did exist by this point because it was in The Return of the Archons, 1966, the Prime Directive.
Yeah, so they shouldn't have beamed down to that planet in the first place because beaming is technology and they wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah,
I don't even think Kirk can pronounce the Prime Directive. That's because he just goes off.
But that's what Spock's for.
But nothing should outweigh the because it is the Prime Directive. It's not, the preferred directive. It's it's number one. Prime. It's the Prime Directive.
Objective. Yeah.
But we did get before the credits. We got the Code 1 message from Uhura. Ta-da! Code 1.
Code 1.
And I was like, what's a Code 1? Oh no, she said, Captain, it's a Code 1. And he just turns around and goes, so it's war. Yeah. And I was like, is that Code 1? Is that what that means? Oh my God. Because I know Code Red's when you get battered in bed by a couple of Marines, isn't it? So this has to be, this Code 1 is war.
According,
so does that mean the Prime...
Well, I've just Googled it now, right? According to Memory Alpha, Code 1 alert is it signals near or total disaster, invasion, or the outbreak of warfare. So, it's, So,
total disaster, Prime Directive goes out, we're going to colonise this place before they do. That's basically what it is. And there's two things that I was making notes on here. The actual episode and the story and the great script, and then the shabby delivery of the great script. And it is shabby. The situation with the set, that's poor. That really took me out of the episode. It was there was a massive amount of buy-in needed to watch this. This could have been anything. This could have been a Second World War drama with Americans and Germans fighting over a French village. Do you know what I mean? It could have been a Vietnam thing with Americans and Viet Cong fighting over a Cambodian village. It could have been anything like that. This didn't actually need to be Star Trek to make the point, and there wasn't a lot of Star Trek in it. There was a Klingon ship destroyed in a bit like pre-credits for no reason, and nothing else mentioned about it apart from just a feel-good gung-ho. We got those bastards. Now let's move in. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
I bet Gene Roddenberry was spitting venom at this. Sometimes he squeezes something in, you know what I mean? He tries to salvage it, and the script was pretty good, but you could tell the studio's hands were all over this. You could tell immediately. You could tell they were forced to film in crap locations where they had to adapt the script. You could tell that Gene Roddenberry tried to get this thing in the end of it, like, oh, these are beings of pure energy. You know, you could tell. And there's that critique of the episode. Like, Shatner's full Shatner here. William Shatner is really going for this.
I've made the same note. It gives a particular speech, and he gives it the big pause.
In an attempt to show you that there are some things worth dying for.
I didn't actually remember this episode when I went to watch it. It didn't make an impact on me at the time I watched it, or the second or third time I watched it. And I could not get past the Shatner pauses. I just couldn't get past it. And it was ruining the episode.
I would say, for the record as well, you are a big Captain Kirk. You know what I mean? He is. So you're not knocking him because you're always doing it. You love Captain Kirk. You know,
you
love Shatner.
I love
it.
But I understand why he gets such a hard time by this episode. This is where, like, watching it, it's hard to defend. So I can't defend it. So I'm going to have to say, just get behind it and love it for what it is. You know what I mean? If it's like something, if you can't disguise it, flaunt it. He's actually stealing every scene, and it's just too much, man. It's.
Did you see that?
Was he trying to act John Colicos because he was fucking a fantastic actor?
I was thinking that. Do you reckon he was maybe threatened by that? Because Colicos was brilliant in this episode, and that's what I'm interested in, Patrick, because you said about, you know, some of the delivery maybe isn't that great, and I'm assuming you mean Shatner, because John Colicos, it is John Colicos, isn't it? His performance as Core is. To be honest, that's what made this episode for me, because up until before you joined, I said this episode to me, it's a bit one of those forgetful episodes. Apart from the very last moment, the only reason that you kind of stick with it is because of Core. It's just brilliant throughout. The minute he walks on, he's got this great way of acting. Where I remember once Michael Caine talking about his acting school, and what he does is he doesn't move, he keeps really straight. Keeps his eyes, and that's what he's doing. It's really intense. When you think about his acting in this, you think, oh, maybe he's overdo. He doesn't overdo it. It's kind of, it's full of character. It's, you know what I mean? But it's never overdoing it. He feels really charismatic, and you want to see more of him. And despite the fact that he is a bastard, you're like, I love this guy. It's got real, you know, like all great villains have got charisma. This guy's got more charisma than every other character in this episode combined.
I think personally, rather than go to the Second World War and the German or the Russian thing, I think he's gone Napoleonic with this delivery. So he's got this gentleman villain. It's rather cultured kind of. He's not savage. He doesn't lose his cool. He doesn't scream and bawl. If you look at Worf in the first and second seasons of TNG, he's growling and snarling and quite animal. Do you know what I mean? With the, you know, the crooked teeth and it's a creature. He's playing an alien creature. Kerr, as he comes across in this episode, the walk, the strut with, you know, the pomp and ceremony, the sash and all of that lot, the high boots, it's the gentleman villain. But he's not screaming and bawling. He is that gentleman villain. I think William Shatner was trying to kind of steal the scene by getting this, you know, this real gung-ho way. And the only way around that is to outfox that kind of thing and get smooth. And the delivery of the villainous elements of this story are smooth.
It's like he was trying to out-Klingon the Klingon.
Yeah, and the Klingon was just so smooth. And I think that really did set the tone for the Klingons that we see going forward. Yeah, there's a bit of savagery to it. Cruise in Star Trek 3.
The theatre and the artistry, they're not just savage, they actually are lovers of music and art and craft.
Yeah. They're
not just beard guzzling, I'm going to rape and pillage the world.
Yeah, they're not space Vikings. That, you know, there's a bit more to them.
If the Klingons were just these aggressive, like, animals, like you were saying, they wouldn't actually be that scary. It's like, we'll just outthink them. But because they are cultured and intelligent, and you get this through Core, you don't really get through any of the others, but through Core you get that. That's what makes them a scary villain. So, like, they might outthink us. You know, they will sit there and have a glass of blood wine. You know, they will watch theatre. You know, you just get, there's a whole, the Klingons get so much depth through Core in this episode.
And the gold sash that he's wearing, That stays throughout Star Trek. A sash on a Klingon.
Worf wears that very same sash. It's the same one. Start with
exactly.
Yeah, in TNG.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We get this grandeur and this pomp and this ceremony. And obviously, Kerr is, I mean, he's serious because he's got the sash and he's calm. And he's got minions and they're running around and they're like, yeah, no problem. And there's a couple of guys that report to him and talk to him and he's giving out orders. They're like, oh, absolutely, 100%. And he's actually giving a bit of a Nazi salute as he's doing it. Puts his hand up. Yeah, I'll do it. And off he goes. And Kerr's like, yeah, this is how I give orders. And sometimes he's doing it in front of Kirk as well. You know what I mean? And he's looking at him like, this is what good looks like. This is what power. This is what it is. And I did through the shit costumes and the shit set. And the rather lengthy, drawn-out situation with these really frustrating, what are they called? Arganians. I mean, I was just waiting for the reveal. You know there's going to be some sort of reveal. You know that they're not just going, we can't allow this to happen. And they're like, why not? We know there's a reason why. Just show us what the reason is. And I think that was stretched out too long. But through all of that come this delivery of smooth, efficient, dangerous power from this Klingon. It wasn't a savage thing. Leonard Nimoy's face at 18 minutes, right?
Yeah.
As he's being led away by Kerr. And he's like, right, so we're going to fuck his head into mush right now. We're going to put him on this machine and we're going to rape his brain. Oh, and Kirk's like, well, I can't stop you. And then it cuts to Spock's face. He was looking at Kirk like, it's this kind of, written all over his face is, I'm fucked. Pure emotional face. And it's a mixture of, this is really going to hurt. I'm fucked. And I can't believe you just did me dirty like that, bro. I can't believe you just
If I was
totally
anybody
left
else,
me.
you would have threatened and defended me. But because it's me, it's just like, no, you're all right, mate.
Yeah, Spock's hard. He can take it. Go on, torture him for it. It's almost welling up in his eye. You can almost see his eyes swimming with the tears. And honestly, I saw that and I was half devastated and half wanted to piss the chair laughing. Honestly, I just thought it was weird. Some other stuff, Vulcanian is used.
Mm-hmm.
We've tortured the Vulcanian. What's a Vulcanian?
Volcanian merchant named Spock.
That's a few times in Star Trek that we get Vulcanian. It is mentioned a few times. Yeah.
So, I don't think they've quite worked out what they're doing because sometimes Klingons speak Klingon, sometimes they speak Klingonese. Yeah.
One thing that's been bugging me in the back of my head, right? They've all got universal translators, yeah? So what the fuck happens when they actually talk in their native language? How does that work? Because it would automatically, everything should sound like English anyway, because they would theoretically be talking in their own language anyway.
Yeah.
And the universal translator translates.
You are right. You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's one of those things that when you start to think about it, you're like, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. There's a great line, by the way, that I forgot to mention. This is a war, a game we Klingons play to win. I thought it was a great line, that.
This is war. A game we Klingons play to win.
Vote time, people. Like or dislike?
Oh, I don't know. Errand of Mercy, the first one, yeah?
Errand of Mercy.
I reckon you did like it.
Given all the pauses that Kirk does, it did wind me up. And I can see it winding Steve up as well. So for that reason, I'm going to go.
I neither like it nor dislike it, if that makes sense.
No. You're moving the goalpost. No.
I like it, I don't like it. It's not.
All right.
Yeah.
It's causing it, you like it.
Okay. All right, so on a 51 to 49% basis, it was an all right episode. It was all
I'll
right.
say that.
Do you know what? Do you know what I liked? The fact that they went down to this planet, right, and it was very primitive, but it wasn't time travel. Nicely done.
And there was no nebulas in it.
No nebulas. It was really weird the way that they beamed down and they assumed that they were very primitive.
Yeah.
That the humans and the Klingons were superior species, in terms of their development. I agree with a lot of what's already been said with regards to the acting. But I think for me, the thing I liked about the episode was the twist right at the end where the Organians just turned around and went, actually, we've had enough of your fighting. F*** you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is essentially what they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an okay episode. It's not one that I remember, but it's not necessarily one I'd skip.
Did no one mention what the Klingons were wearing? And all I put is the kinky boots and glam gold leggings.
Hey, those leggings, I won't mind to get my hands on a pair of those trousers, but the rear is rocking all shit.
What, the glam gold leggings?
Yeah. Even though I ain't got the legs for it, I'd have to put some fake muscles in there.
I think that the original series Klingon costume that Kerr wears, I've never seen that done in cosplay before, and I think that'd be really, really good.
The material's easier to get in the States than it is here in the UK. It's like a lot of things in America. When we go to America for Vegas, I'm going to be doing a lot of shopping. I might have to take a second suitcase empty to bring all my shit back.
He's going to wear his Klingon costume so he doesn't have to pack it. He'll be like, yeah.
Come on, man!
That'd be great when they look at your passport and they're like, Errand of Mercy then. Anything more on Errand of Mercy? Move on to the next one.
Well, the quote was, Kirk said, "We're short of tools."
Yes.
I thought I'd get that in there.
Tools. I did laugh when I heard that, yeah.
We're short of tools.
And the bit where it goes, "What are the chances of us getting out of this?" And he's like, "It's difficult to be precise."
Difficult to be precise, Captain.
But it was something like 7,281 or something to 1.
I should say approximately 7,824.7 to 1.
It was a real Rain Man moment.
Difficult to be precise. 7,824 to 1.
I hate that, by the way. You get that. It's not just in Star Trek, but you get a lot with Spock in Star Trek. I'm not sure if Data does it, but you're like, the chances of us getting out of this, blah, 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 to 1. And I'm like, I hate that. I'm like, come off it. There's no way you can just calculate it. There's too many things that you cannot find.
Variables.
Yeah,
Almost
variables,
infinite
yeah.
variables.
I hate that. I hate it.
Is that the first time we ever heard the Klingon say glorious? Because Carr says it at the end, it would have been glorious, and says it in that way.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know what I mean? I think that got established.
It would have been glorious.
This was a recovery day for me, and I did watch these episodes, but they were a bit of a blur, and I think I fell asleep at some point. Well, I agree with Laura. Pat just said it felt clumsy, this episode, from the reason why they were going to the planet and the set. I only picked up on why I don't like the episode, but you described it perfectly. It was like the set was rubbish, the outfits were rubbish. It didn't seem to fit with the acting that was going on, because the acting was good.
So, Brush, are you saying that you weren't impressed with the Klingon army, even though it turned out to be 6 guys?
Yeah,
There is a bit of Kirk and Spock. You know, you can see the friendship from the outset. Actually, when he's holding this computer thing and he's like, "Spock, we were both right.
We both guessed right
on something." And we're going on an away mission. Who? Me and me mate. You lot stay here. If anything happens, you fuck off. We'll be fine. Me and Spock are going out. You know, when a kid is just about old enough to look after themselves, when you're going out, they got to that 13, 14 stage where you can legally leave them on their own, and you're like, "Look, we're going out. If anything happens, you go straight to your nans." And that was Sulu. But okay, yeah, I'll do that. No messing. No, we'll be back when we're back. Behave. Basically, it was that, and that kind of started it off in a weird way. But the Kirk, Spock were like, it was Batman and Robin. It was like, I think we need to show them a lesson. And Spock's like, yeah, explosions, Governor, explosions.
What's that, Kaz?
So what I got from that was Spock wasn't happy with what he was doing. He wasn't happy with what was going on.
Spock was down. Spock was down to play, man. He was at the first, even before the credits, it was like, "We've hurt him, Jim. We've hurt him." And I was like, that's not a very calculated, emotionless response. He's hurt. We're fucking this guy right up. And 100% dispersal, whack him out.
We hit him, Captain. He's hurt.
And then when Kirk says something like, I think I see a weapons dump, Spock's like, yeah, let's blow it up.
These crates contain chemical explosives. They should make a more satisfactory display.
What got me is it's a weapon stash of chemical weapons. So let's just blow it up and spread it everywhere.
6, 5, 4.
It's all right. It's not their planet.
We said that Kirk
serves those cowardly Arcanians right. And it was that hatred of cowardice. And the big
perceived cowardice. Perceived cowardice.
perceived cowardice, and that's where the venom come from.
Yeah.
And the big reveal at the end, and they're both almost like teaming up with each other. Like, you can't tell my Federation what to do, or my Empire. Come on, Jim, we'll show them. And that's where Kerr almost was.
Yeah.
And it's telling actually. The guy said, I forget his name, the chief mufti. He predicted the Federation Klingon alliance.
That in the future, you and the Klingons will become fast friends. You will work together.
I was like, nice prediction, because the Klingons are they're the heel of the show. They're the bad guys. They're the one that everyone sits there going, oh, boo, it's the bad guys. But they team up with the Federation in the end.
I can't help but watch Chris's thing at the minute because it looks like an action film. I just feel like any minute Arnie's going to come out.
It needs a couple of Uzis. It does. You always hear the tyre screeching every corner.
The new 007.
That's class.
Chris, slide over the bonnet, man. Do it. Slide over the bonnet.
Before we move on to the next one, we've mentioned the fact that Kirk in this episode seems very un-Kirk-like, very un-Federation. But to be fair, at the end of the episode, and you've just been talking about Kirk and Spock having a moment, Kirk says that he's actually embarrassed by his behaviour, throughout this episode.
You and I have no reason to be embarrassed.
And to me, that was a big moment because it says that on the bridge in front of everyone.
I'm embarrassed.
And for a captain to turn around and say, I'm embarrassed at, basically how I've, dealt with this situation or whatever. Yeah. I thought that was quite a big moment. And it's Spock who basically metaphorically puts his hand on his shoulder and reassures him. Yeah. And I thought it's quite a good moment there. But I do think it's good to note the fact that Kirk does acknowledge that he was, a dick. He doesn't use that word exactly, but we know what it means. So let's move on to the next episode then, which is once more onto the breach. Somebody mentioned Shakespeare. This obviously it's a line, from Shakespeare. On the album that the missus bought me a few years ago as a joke present, but it backfired, a CD called Spaced Out, the best of William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, and it backfired because I played it all the time in the car. I know that I'm sure that speech, that piece of Shakespeare is actually in it with Shatner delivering it. Once more.
Henry V is best listened to in the original Klingon, I think.
It's like Hamlet.
Just like Hamlet, yeah. The mild cigar. So, once more to the breach. Now, the question I've got to ask about this episode is, obviously, Kor's in this episode, but to me, I like the fact that Kor's in it. I think it's good that we ended, but it actually could have been any old Klingon. It didn't have to be Kor, because it doesn't really link him to that. I know Kor does appear in Deep Space Nine before this, but
it could have been Kang.
It could have been, well, Kang's already dead anyway by this stage.
Yeah, but like you say, it could have been any.
Oh yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it could have been any. It doesn't have to be specifically him, and that's one of the comments that I've got about this: the fact that it doesn't really need to be, Kor. Again, he steals the screen, doesn't he, John Colicos? Every time he's on screen, he absolutely steals it.
So I didn't watch this episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to blag the shit out of it.
Go on.
Right? Okay. I like the bit where Sisko says, "Mr. Worf." I thought that was classic. Classic Sisko. All right. Being a Klingon episode, I'm guessing there was probably some singing. Fucking gotta love a bit of that Klingon opera, right? Love it. I could do that all Christmas. Love it. Right.
Oh my God, he's nailing it. He's nailing it.
And then I really like the bit where there was probably some gunfire at some point. Yeah, have some of that all day long. The colours, the sounds, and yeah, great episode. Steve, did you like it?
Once more to the breach, Gibbo. What do you reckon to this?
Yes, I love this episode. For me, a lot of people in this room probably have some people who know somebody who's got dementia, and it brought it up in this episode because when it comes out that he's ill and the dementia's in there, and I only found out tonight from my sister that her mum died tonight at 97. She had a good innings, but she died with dementia tonight. She didn't know where she was, who she was, who her daughter was by the end of it, but she died happily with her family yesterday. My sister's coping well. She said her mum used to like a lot of white wine, so they've been drinking a lot of white wine.
Yeah.
So, so this episode, I really liked it because, like I say, Kor's back. I enjoyed him in the other two episodes of DS9 as well, because as soon as he walks on stage, on the scene, it's going to be an episode what you're going to remember. He's a classic actor, and he just brings out the vibe of just being in the room as soon as he walks into the door, when he rings the doorbell, and Worf's face going, "Oh God!" and then he walks in with his swagger, and he just drinks a glass of blood wine, and he knows instantly what flavour what year it is just by the taste.
Is it a 2309?
Yeah, it's a good year.
2309, very good.
He's aristocratic. He's of the great houses, the old great houses, isn't he?
Yeah, he is the only living survivor of the House of Kor. So when he dies in this episode, his lifeline's gone. That's
His
it.
bloodline's finished, yeah.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I wanted to pick this episode as well, because like I say, it's the beginning of Kor and it's the end of Kor. So it's the beginning of the end for such a classic Star Trek character. When Worf walks on and asks Martok if he can have him, it's like you could just see the lividness in Martok's face. He doesn't want this guy. He hates him to pieces for. But like I say, later on you find out why. Goes through the back door and he gets him on the ship and basically turns around to Martok and goes, "Oh, and by the way, I went behind your back. He's on the ship." And I was like, "Motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you. Any other man, I'd kill you where you stand." And then it's like I say, as soon as he walks on the bridge, everyone stops and like the mouths are open. You can see the jealousy in Martok's face. It's not just that his anger, it's also his like, "Motherfucker's better than me. He's done a lot more than me."
Like Shatner.
Yeah. Everyone's looking up to him. I'm thinking now all of a sudden I'm the smallest man in the room and I'm the fucking captain of the ship and I should be on the top tier. Everyone should be looking at me. And now he's walked in and it's took.
Yeah, the Daha Master is like a national treasure, isn't it? It's like a rank beyond rank.
Yeah. And now he's just basically walked on as a third in command, but everyone's looking at him as higher than Martok. He'd rather have him in the galley cooking fucking gack or uncooking gack, frosting it. Another thing is that quote he says is a fantastic quote.
Savor the fruit of life, my young friends. It has a sweet taste when it is fresh from the vine, but don't live too long. The taste turns bitter after a time.
Me and Steve mentioned we should have got that on a T-shirt because it is one of the best quotes you'll get in Star Trek.
I was actually thinking of getting that as a tattoo because I think that is. I love that. Love that saying, and it's so true.
It is because every young person think they've done everything and they've seen everything.
Yeah,
and you're like you haven't even tasted anything yet, mate. You haven't lived.
Yeah,
you still live with your mum. But you think you know better than me.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, totally. It's that situation where the bills are grinding you down, the daily grind of life. And I said this to a dear friend recently. You think when you're young, things are just going to get easier for you the more you accumulate through life. But it fucking don't. It just gets harder and harder, and the grind is the same. And there's some things you can't do in bulk. You have to just do the daily grind. And when you get up in the morning, it's harder, and your back starts to ache, and you feel a cold a bit more. And you need to eat more regularly, and you need more sleep, and you start to think, even you should. Oh, this is shit. Really, this is I was looking forward to this, and it's shit.
Patches. But the minute you retire, you think you've achieved everything, and then people start treating you like an imbecile. And it's like,
do you know what? I wouldn't mind being treated like an imbecile when I retire. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to fucking die as soon as I finish work. Like most railway men, that's it. You collect your pension for 6 months that you've been building for 40 years and snuff it. You're right, Gibbo and Steve. It's such a poignant message. It's the message of that whole episode. Yeah, it touches on dementia, like you say. But it drives it home.
And I say dementia is a lot of people I know. I've got friends and family who have got people with that disease. And for some strange reason, I don't know about anybody else, but dementia, it didn't really come out until late 90s. I didn't know anything about dementia or Alzheimer's for years, and all of a sudden it's like a massive uprise of people getting dementia all over. Like, you know somebody's mum or dad that's in a hospital or an hospice with
People
dementia.
are living longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the media as well, it was always portrayed as in like almost a comedic way. Oh, the dotty old person who can't remember stuff. Whereas I think now it portrayals a bit more realistic. It's people who are forgetting their own kids' names or just forgetting things that they would normally remember, and it's.
I think it was also seen as inevitable. We used to
it was
Alzheimer's when I was a kid was called Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
that's what we used to call Alzheimer's disease. And it was kind of you get to that stage and this happens. You know,
and when you're young, that's decades away. You don't need to worry about that. I mean, at that time, you think 50s and 60s is really, really old. You know what I mean? At that time, you're like, it's years away. I won't care then. I'll have lived my life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's what you think when you're like when you're in your teens. You think, well, I won't care when I'm 60 years old. I'll have lived my life. I'll be ready to die then. And you're like, no, that's not how it. It's only when you get older you realize that's not how it works. You know. It's like when I see somebody now in the 70s, I'm like, well, in like less than 30 years' time, I'll be in my 70s, and it's quite scary because I think 30 years is nothing. It's nothing, you know, and it really does. It does scare
the older you get, the quicker the years go. I think I farted last week, and it was 2025.
One day you look and find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You've missed the starting gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get serious about life tomorrow. And then all of a sudden you're like, hang on a minute. How much of this have I missed?
Oh, John Lennon, life is what happens to you whilst you're busy making other plans. You know, it just passes you by. You know, you think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. But, you know, that you know.
Because he knows he's got this disease. He knows he's got it. And he's got, like you say, when he stands there and he tells him to be on the ship, and he's like, as soon as he turns back, what ship? What ship? You can see it in his face. And you can see him thinking, and he knows he's got to keep his shit together. He needs to keep his shit together.
Yeah. He says, doesn't he? He says, concentrate.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Most people watching Star Trek have had that experience where they walk in something and they go, where the fuck? I've done it in the same room. I've got up to get something, got to the, and gone, what the fuck did I come over here for?
About 10 times a day.
Yeah.
The problem is, John, problem is when you want to go to the loo and you forget where you were going.
Oh, no, don't do that.
That can be a problem. That can definitely be a problem. Yeah. You'll soon be reminded.
The scene on the ship where, like I say, Cores walked on there and everyone thinks he's fake. It's like any species, any people, like you see a man who's like this image of greatness.
The
and
hero.
no image. But then as soon as he fucks up first time, you can't wait to fucking berate him for it and take the piss.
Yeah, and do you know what? That is quite what happens in the Klingon mess hall there while he's sat with his food. And he's just eating his dinner. It's quite raw, actually. The roasting that he gets.
It's like he knows he's fucked up and he's embarrassed, yet they still berate him for it.
Yeah, and Martok's doing it with a bunch of minions who, in one breath, were like stunned and awed by his presence. And in the next minute, they're like cowards, like the cowards that allow bullying to happen, actually. You know, Martok's giving it out and they're like, yeah, that fucking idiot. Yeah, you're the man.
It's uncomfortable, isn't it? I think a lot of people as well, a lot of Trekkies, I know I don't want to generalise, but I think a lot of Trekkies have experienced bullying in the past, which is one of the draws of Star Trek and the whole inclusive thing. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people who've experienced bullying, it'd be quite triggering that scene because you see him, he's sat there, and it is like a school canteen, right? He's sat there eating his food. They're all like, and it doesn't goad him. It doesn't have it because that's, you know, he just sits there. They're having a go at him, and he's just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and he walks out. But thankfully, he gets that amazing line that we mentioned before. He gets that line out.
And then you see Martok's face go.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's like, damn it, he got the last punch in. Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's come out better than me again.
There's a reference to Kang in this episode. I really like that.
Yeah, Kang's dead.
Right, do you know what, right? I'm going to sound like the worst Trekkie ever, right? When he said that, I thought, I've got all excited and I made a note of it. Only because I got Kang confused with Chang. General Chang. I thought, Chang.
I like the way they use Martok's relationship to describe the hierarchical structure of the Klingon.
It's like a caste society.
You have to be the higher echelons to be an officer, and he couldn't be an officer, and how it really had to work hard to get to where he was.
Yeah.
And now he's right at the top of it. He's at the pinnacle, isn't he? It's just under Cameron.
And that kind of showed how Core is. His kind of attitudes are dying out, in a more modern society, because he doesn't come. He comes across as a little bit of a dick because he basically turns around and says that he does deserve to be, because he's born into it. That silver spoon does count.
We've seen that with our own military. They were all lords and dukes and God knows.
They don't actually fuck up and get a medal for it.
Make no mistake, they still are.
Yeah.
You're born into Sandhurst. There's the naval officers. You'll never captain a ship unless you're born into it. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That's a life you're born into, and when you're going to school and you're privately educated and you're doing all of that, you know where you're going to end up.
Did anybody else think that Quark's coat looked like the trans pride flag? I did. I thought.
I love Quark's clothing.
I do, but I quite like that. I did quite like that.
I don't remember.
I did sort of look at the jacket and think to myself,
at the time.
do you know what? They've just picked a load of material that really doesn't go together at all.
I told him it's the end of
That's
it.
like completely jarring.
Quark's clothes are amazing. I won't air a word against them. What do you think to then Ezra in this episode? Because Ezra normally gets a bit of a beating, but I thought Ezra was quite good in this episode. She had personality.
It's just like the B story, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
the B
story
story
to the episode.
What I liked Ezra-wise was her conversation with Kira and the fact that it was very jovial. It was something that you don't always see, and it was just two mates having a drink, having a laugh, minding their own business, not talking about whose crisis is going on or what's trying to destroy the station. It was just proper social time. Do you know what I mean?
That's unusual for Kira.
Kira's like total post-traumatic stress disorder pretty much all the way
through. She never switches off, does she? She is one of those characters that never switches off. And so when you see it, it's really heartwarming to see it, because you do get it. There's various times throughout the seasons you get it, but not very often, so it always stands out when you see it.
I thought Ezra came across quite well in this episode, because I don't think Ezra was particularly well written, but I think in this episode there's some personality behind her, and I quite liked it. And I like the fact that Quark gives her a bit of advice. I mean, it's kind of loaded advice, but it does give it, and then she turns around to him and she says that you're a real sweetheart. I think that she had some good moments in this, Ezra.
But she had a very small part to play, and actually they wrote well for her for a change. They were able to actually find her character and how it fit in with this story.
But at the same time, her interactions with Quark were reminiscent of Jadzia.
Because Quark is definitely. Quark had his own agenda going on, and
he did, But it did.
And she being that Dax already knew this, so she was able to deal with that as well.
One thing that he did say to her that I thought was really good, he said that she needs to find someone, or she should find someone who is willing to win her heart rather than inherit it.
And
I thought that was really good, the fact that she doesn't owe Worf, not that Worf was asking for it, but she doesn't owe somebody a relationship purely because there's nobody just automatically gets that. They need to earn it. And I thought that was a really quite a good message.
That's another time Quark has come out with one of the most human emotive things that you could say. He does get those lines often, which shows him to be very un-Ferengi like we all know he is.
Worf has done nothing, and I mean nothing, to deserve you. Shouldn't you try and find someone who's willing to win your heart? Not just inherit it. You deserve better.
And just to go back to the actor, John, what's his name?
Calico, is it? Calico?
He was actually, because they introduced him as Core in the TOS episode, every episode after that, they actually almost wrote for that character, and they tried to get that actor. And unfortunately, he was busy with other projects, so he couldn't do it, because they went straight back to him and they wanted him to do it. So they wanted Core to be the recurring Klingon character that we got. And then I guess you can look at it as well, that we got Koloth and we got Kang because of it, because they had to get new actors in to play different characters then. So, but it was interesting that they chose him and actually wanted him to be that recurring Klingon throughout most of it.
He didn't stop acting all the way through his career. It was like year on year, he was doing something.
Yeah.
He was a very busy boy. And I say then
He carried some gravitas.
Battlestar Galactica was in as well, weren't he? He was in BSG.
Yeah.
What do you think to the end of Core then? How do you know, like obviously
It was inevitable, wasn't it?
yeah, you could see it. You could see it the minute you saw Core, and you knew that it was pretty obvious that it was gonna that it was gonna die.
I love Martok's like fucking secretary because Martok bloody hates him. He loves him, but he's an annoying twat that he says, "Oh, I wish."
He was the best character. Actually, I think I did make one note, and I wrote his name down because he was the best character in that whole thing. How like frustrated he was with him, and I was like, "Just sign the fucking piece of paper, sign this thing, will you?"
Well, do you know Patches said, like at work now, when he first started working there, he was like one of these young kids, and now you're one of the elders. Well, that guy was like that when he sits with Cord.
He's the Daha Master.
Yeah, they have that little like reminisce, don't they, about the old days?
Patches the Daha Master.
Do you know what? I wish I had Daha Master on my locker. Do you know what the lads put on my locker? Grand Nagus.
Go on, right, Gibbo. What are you saying, right? Core. What do you think to the end of it and Core's demise? Did he get a proper glorious ending?
I wish they would have filmed a bit of the battle instead of it being on the back of a radio channel. I would have loved to have seen him at least take out a Jemadar ship in battle radio channel. But then again, it's probably about money.
We did get a bit of that though, didn't we?
We've got some ships, yeah.
Yeah, when they're assaulting that Jem'Hadar base and he goes into his full flashback moment, I think one of the best parts of this whole episode actually is where I think Martok's lying stunned on the deck. Worf's knocked out behind him, so it's down to the third man, and he's in the middle of the bridge, and his eyes have lit up, and he's like, "And the Federation will fall. Send out a message to Kang. We'll destroy them within an hour. Prepare a boarding party." And he's smiling, and you can see that absolute. And it's not like a growly creature; it's that lust of battle.
I'm on the bridge of winning. I'm on that.
Yeah, and his eyes are lit up. He's smiling. He's growling a little bit. He's got a lot of bass in his voice. Victory will be mine.
The Federation will rue the day they dare to challenge the might of the Klingon Empire.
He actually played that beautifully in the scene for an old guy as well. You could see that he was really into it. It was well acted, but it was also a well scripted piece, and you got to see a little bit of what you wanted there, Gibbo. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What would he have been like actually taking on them Jem'Hadar? And I'd like to think that he was fucking grinning from ear to ear going.
I reckon if they could have done an episode where it was in, like, say, the younger days, you could have imagined seeing him being, if they did like the proper Klingon Wars where he was fighting. They did it in Discovery a few episodes about, about the Klingon War, but they could do a whole series. They could do a whole series on the Romulan War, for crying out loud.
Battle of Axanar.
Well, it's one of these episodes you don't see an old Klingon warrior. You don't, because they aim to die in battle. And Core's got to that point. He's got no house no more. He's just got a title. He's got no friends. He's got more enemies. No one's going to give him a command. And he's sat on the sidelines. He's getting old.
Losing it.
He's losing his marbles, and he wants to die.
He's all been killed off.
Yeah, he wants to die in battle. I love this episode because of that. Because you see Core, he wants to have that big last hurrah. And then when that option comes up, he fucking knocks Worf out. He teleports over. He turns the ship round and he takes on 10. All right, you don't see it. I fucking hate that.
Yeah, but the other old guy is the one that gave him the idea. This is what's happening. This is where you need to
hear Martok say, how did he take on 10 ships? How's he done it?
How did that pompous old man hold off an entire Jem'Hadar fleet with only one ship?
He's took on, he's dead, but you don't know how many Jem'Hadar, but whatever he's done, he's delayed them long enough.
And the thing
that the rest of the two remaining ships that are left can escape.
Even though Martok despises everything about him and what he's done to his family, even he admires what he pulls off.
He says at one point, he says, all I've ever wanted to do is fucking ridicule this man, but now it just
feels empty.
A noble warrior to the end.
Even Martok drank to him at the end. The whole thing about this episode is brilliant. Everything about it. You actually see, like I said, an old Klingon warrior, because you don't really see an old Klingon warrior unless they're politicians.
Yeah.
Unless they're inside, the council. This man has got no outpower.
Chancellor.
He's got nothing. He's got no power. He's just got a title. He's just a legend around him. He's just an old warrior. He wants to die in battle.
Yeah, but what he's asked Worf to do is help him protect his legacy. He knows he hasn't got long left.
Yeah.
All he's worried about is how he's going to be remembered. And there's only one way for a Daha Master to go, and that's out fighting, not his knees. And there was an episode where a TNG episode where an away team got stuck in a mystery story in a casino, and they found this old astronaut dead in bed. And Worf looked at this guy who died in his sleep and went, "I can't imagine anything worse than dying in your sleep.
What a terrible way to die."
And Kerr said to Worf, "I'm gonna like fizzle out here. Like my legend will be done. Help me." And when he does the deed, it's Worf that says, "It doesn't matter how he went out. He did the business, and the legend stands."
And it does not matter how he died.
And even Martok saluted that bravery, and in a very Viking way, like they have a drink and off to Valhalla, not Valhalla, Sto-vo-kor, he goes.
It's quite at the moment as well. I know this is obviously an oldish episode, but at the moment, obviously, euthanasia and being able to end your own life the way you want to end it, when you come to the end of your life, is obviously a big topic at the minute. It's in the news, and that's what this episode deals with. You got somebody, he's in mental decline, he's losing his mind, he's losing his memory. He knows it's fading away. It's fading away. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't want. He doesn't want to fade away. He wants to die the way he wants to die. So he takes charge of his own death. It's not a can of worms on open on here about what do we all think about ending your own life. Blah 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 blah. But in his case, that's how he wanted to go, and that was his happy ending. The fact that he was able to die a glorious warrior's death, and rather than just fade away and be unrecognizable.
This storyline,
death is scary. So you want to go out in the best way you want to go out, either for yourself or for everybody else that's left behind.
Yeah,
it is that legacy, looking after your legacy, and it's touching actually. I think it's a nice end to the character. The best stuff that happens in the original series happens just off camera. The best explosions in the episode Errand of Mercy, that happened just off camera. And it's, that was brilliant. And you have to use your imagination, folks. We haven't got the budget to show you. And it is like that last battle occur. It was glorious. What did it look like?
It's L'Oreal because he's worth it.
I was thinking the same thing.
Shake your hair, shake your hair, shake it, shake it, shake it. Oh, you look so sexy. This is the side of the Klingon I want to see.
What, the boy band in his gold armor?
In the first episode we watched, Errand of Mercy, there's a moment in it that I had to rewind because it was so mental, and it's a Shatner moment. And it's where, do you know where him and Spock are talking, and it's like got a bit of a plan, and they're stood on some steps, talking really loudly, even though they're surrounded by Klingons, so everybody can hear what they're saying. There's a minute where he walks up to, there's a Klingon sat at a table or something, and Captain Kirk does this really weird gesture where he goes, it's really mental.
He does it's almost like the Ferengi thing.
It's a piss take. So he gets it off is it Arganians?
Yeah, because at the time he's still pretending to be one of those races. They haven't found out he's Captain Kirk.
Yeah, but it's a piss take as well, because they greet him like that, and as he's backing out of the room after he's been mugged by Kurt and mugged by them, they're like, "You just keep your mouth shut, son." He walks out and he's like,
I didn't realize. For some reason, I completely missed the reference for that. I thought, what is that all about? It just seemed really strange. It just goes like.
It's like him bowing down to them.
I'll be good then, will I?
Yeah.
And he's doing that to the Klingons, and it's a 14-year-old version of Captain Kirk that we're seeing. You know what I mean? And in that kind of 14-year-old way, he's going, yeah, what? And Spock's like, just leave it, bruv, just leave it.
Oh, yeah. Did you like this episode, yes or no? I'm going to say yes.
Oh, definitely yes.
Who could not like
no
this
brainer,
episode?
this one, isn't it?
Klingons, really good background Klingons.
Yeah, I like this one. It's a bit of a no-brainer. You can't really go wrong with this episode, can you?
No.
I like the fact that as we've sort of discussed, the core is very much, he knows he's losing his marbles and he wants to do something about it while he can. You know, he's reached the pinnacle of his...
He wants a last hurrah, doesn't he? That's what.
Yeah, he wants to do it before he loses the ability to do it.
Yeah.
You know, to go out on his own terms. He's already reached the peak of his fame, and he's plummeting down, quite substantially. Although he's the Dahan master, he's got...
I just said to Dee, do you know, it's like those actors, famous actors or famous people who now all they ever do is go to make speeches.
Kurt is the Oliver Reed of this outfit, isn't he?
Yes,
he went out in a boozer, arm wrestling, pissed off his nut.
I was talking about this just last night. I was talking about this, Yeah, I was talking about just last night. He went out, he had 8 lagers, and then he had something like half a bottle of whiskey, then he had a load of shots, and then he challenged all these sailors to an arm wrestle. Apparently he beat them all, but I think that might be a bit of urban myth. And then he lay down on the floor, said he didn't feel very well, and then he died.
Well, that during the film, the Gladiator.
Yeah, that was,
He signed a contract to remain sober throughout the film, so the minute it was finished, it just overloaded his system. So
right. Because Ridley Scott said that he was an amazing acting talent, but he never ever achieved what he could have achieved because he was so addicted to alcohol throughout most of his adult life. Yeah.
They were. Do you know what? They would have been excellent Klingons. Peter O'Toole, Richard Harris, Richard Burton, Oliver Reed.
Right. So the opening was O'Brien and Bashir talking about David Crockett. What was the point of that?
They always do.
It was also
it's the lost cause.
Exactly.
They didn't make it out, did they? They all died at the Alamo.
So it was about
the last stand.
It was almost this story told in the first scene, It was.
Yeah, and it's the legend of it's keeping and Worf actually said doesn't matter what happened as long as you go for the legend.
Yeah, Worf's speech there was amazing because he opened both of their minds to the fact that that's the truth.
No matter what happened, as long as he was alive.
If you do not believe in the legend, then he was just a man, and it does not matter how he died.
Car rocks up and it's the same guy.
Oh, do you know this? She went, it's the same guy!
It's still him!
I could tell by his eyes. Do you know when it's like a child, it realizes something for the first time? And you get that every time. And it's one of the sweetest experiences because I was here to experience it with us. We're like, oh, it's the same guy! Like the excitement. You can tell by his eyes. I mean, Jared are looking at each other going,
Brush. Yeah. She didn't realise though that it was the same actor playing Khan in Wrath of Khan and Space Seed though.
I know, no, actually Jared brought that up as well. Like, oh no, but to have that realization again, what a sweet experience that has been.
And then we see JG Martok, obviously, and then Worf and him have that conversation, and it just says, he just mentions his name, Core, and he loses it, absolutely loses it. Worf's expression when he come out of that conversation, he comes out of the door and he stands in the corridor for a minute, and the expression, and it's just stood still in there.
Yeah, he's so puzzled.
The thought going through Worf's head was, Core, you're going to have to tell me what the you've done, because I just said your name in front of Martok, and he
lost his shit.
You know what I mean? He lost it. So what's going on? So when he says, all right, put him as far away from me as possible, does he then put him on the same bloody ship?
I know. Because you said I wanted to say it.
On the same bridge. Put him on the bridge.
5 ships.
There's 5 ships. You could have put him on any other ship. So what do you say? The point of why would you bring him on?
Why would you do that? Yeah. Why? What was Worf's reasoning for that? That makes no sense.
Because he was curious to see what the was going on. So
there's nothing wrong with being a bit curious.
Yeah.
The conversation between Martok and Worf before, obviously, they decide that plan on him going over to the ship. When they're talking about that, it sounds like 2 brothers discussing what to do with their senile dad. So they go and ask the top dog brother, Gowron, and just leave him with him. Just palm him off on him.
So where are you going to put me then, Dave?
In a hole.
We're going to push you into a street fight to go out in one last.
No, wait a minute. Don't the trams run 24 hours? You can live on a tram.
I've just got loads of confusing dark lit conversations.
Dalek? Say it.
Dark lit.
Dark lit.
Oh, dark.
Yeah,
not
that's
Dalek.
No, that's good writing for you. Come on, read it.
Yeah, loads of confusing dark lit combos. I didn't understand.
Worf missed what?
I must have looked.
Worf missed his goodbye speech from Core because he was out cold. So what was the point of standing over him and all that?
Well, because no, it was for Cole though. It was for Cole. It was for him now doing exactly what he needed to do to end his life. Well, please, Gibble, do your L'Oreal look again. Oh my God.